buying Tua. Everyone's trying to buy Tua right now. Well, you're too late. State of the Hobby Address, Episode 1, 2023 season, Week 1. It's Overreaction Monday, and I want to kick this off by saying I was right. I was right about everything. I was right about everyone. I told you guys before this season started, because you're stupid if you're not buying this guy. Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was the best buy in the hobby. Let's look up his stats. 8 receptions, 101 yards, and a tutter. He's clearly going to be Trevor Lawrence's wide receiver number 1. He's comfortable there in Jacksonville. He's balling out. He was balling out in Atlanta. He was such a good wide receiver, and people forgot because he pulled a JMO and he got suspended from the league for gambling, but it's okay. It's okay because Calvin Ridley has room to grow, guys. I think Calvin Ridley's still a buy. If you're not buying him yet, you should start now. He's not a sell yet. I still think he's a little too cheap. I think he's probably going to be a top 5 receiver this year if he keeps it up. The Jacksonville Jags, they obviously got an easy schedule, easy division. Let's look at that same game. Anthony Richardson. Let's look at Anthony Richardson's stats, guys. I'm big on Anthony Richardson. You guys know this. I watched him play. He played great. He had one bad interception, a very bad interception. I'm not going to underplay it. He had a very bad interception that game. So here's the Anthony Richardson stat line. He had a QBR of 23.5. Fuck a QBR. I think that's the dumbest stat there is. So fuck that. Ignore that noise. All right, let's look at this. He had 37 attempts for 27 completions, 223 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He threw a beautiful 39-yard touchdown to Michael Pittman Jr. that game. He had one very bad throw in crunch time. Didn't look too good. He also got injured, walked out the field. Gardner Minshew came in. Minshew Mania's back, maybe? I don't think so. I think Anthony Richardson's here to stay, and he's a player we all expected and wanted him to be, and I think he has plenty of room to grow to continue to be a better player. I'm going to go ahead and put a buy flag on Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is such a buy. But guys, I started this by saying one thing. I was right. I've never been wrong in my life. I don't know what it feels like to be wrong because I was right, and I've been right about every single thing so far I've said to you guys. I made a video. I said, who's the best quarterback to buy in the hobby? Is it Justin Herbert? Fuck no, it's not Justin Herbert. It's Justin Herbert's dad, Tua Tagovailoa. 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 110 QBR. This time we care about QBR because it works in our favor. Tua, oh my God, you madman, guys. I haven't even looked yet. I'm sure his prices are skyrocketing. I'm seeing him for sale everywhere. I see on Facebook. I go on Facebook, buying Tua. Everyone's trying to buy Tua right now. Well, you're too late. You should have bought him when I told you, but it's okay. So let's go ahead and let's look at the most liquid card in the hobby. Let's look at the Optic Downtown. Let's look at the PSA 10 version now. So we want to look at obviously the sold listings. To me, I think the best index for a player is the Optic Downtown because it's such a liquid card. There's only one of them, and especially 2020, there's no colors or anything like that, so it's easy to get a good grasp. So let's look at the sold items here. Oh my God! $1,500. 1,500 smackaroos. When I was buying these in the offseason, I was paying around $900. Let's look at what they were doing before that. So the last sale before the season kicked off, these are all best offer. Who knows? Less than 13, less than 12. So it was probably about $1,100 was the last sale before the season kicked off. Bang! Up 50%, 1519.99. So you can be up 50% already on Tua. Is Tua overall up 50%? Let's look at his optic rated rookie. Let's just get a grasp of how Tua is doing right now. Let's go down. Sold items again. Oh, we're already at sold items. So it looks like, let's see the last one we can see. 60 smackaroos right there. I know for a fact this wasn't selling for 60 smackaroos yesterday. Let's go September 10th. 31! Tua doubled overnight. I told you guys, double your money on this quarterback. There's only one quarterback who you can buy right now. By week 3, by week 4, you could possibly double, triple your money. If you guys said it back then, double your money on this quarterback. It's Tua Tagovailoa. He is him. He is him. Keep buying Tua. I think Tua only has room to grow. He's an MVP favorite right now. I said it last time. I said, guys, this time last year, Tua Tagovailoa was an MVP favorite. And guess what? He is again right now. Tua is still a buy. Now let's talk about the sells. Let's talk about who he's selling right now. Who had an awful performance? I'm going to say this on the record. And this is going to be crazy take given Daniel Jones' performance yesterday. I think the worst quarterback with a starting job in the NFL is Derek Carr. I've always said at FDC, fuck Derek Carr. I've never been big on Derek Carr, but my God, he played absolutely atrocious in that Saints game. It was a snooze fest, so if you didn't watch it, I don't blame you. It was a boring game of football. But guess what? He was underthrowing every pass. He could have hit a receiver in stride. This guy stinks. So I'm selling the shit out of Derek Carr. If you're even thinking about buying Derek Carr, you see he's cheap as shit. He's cheap as dirt. I should probably buy him. No, Derek Carr only has room to go down because he sucks. Let's also talk about Daniel Jones, that pitiful performance. My God, Micah Parsons is a fucking machine because he's got got two people holding him back like this, and he's plowing right through them. Micah Parsons, probably the greatest defensive spectacle I've seen in a long time, was Micah Parsons, that Cowboys D-line in that game. Absolutely shitting on Daniel Jones, who played probably the worst game of football out of any quarterback ever. But guys, it was raining. It was raining. We got to give him the benefit of the doubt, and it was raining. The Cowboys have a very, very good defense that led to a giant shutout. I don't know if Daniel Jones is a sell right now. I don't think that you should sell Daniel Jones coming off that performance, because who the hell is going to buy him? I think if you're holding Daniel Jones, he's getting $40 million a year, probably, hopefully for a reason, but honestly, who knows? Does he deserve $40 million? Well, on that performance, probably not. So I think he's got, obviously, he only has room to go up from here. That performance was so far down here that he can only do better next week, hopefully. I don't think there's any way he could possibly do worse, so he can only do better. So Daniel Jones is definitely a hold. I wouldn't buy him. I wouldn't sell him. Remember, he is the vanilla Vic. He's got it in him. I think, he rubs that dirt off his shoulder. He'll be okay. Don't be out on Daniel Jones yet. Hold on to him. Don't panic. So he's not bad. He's not as bad as he played yesterday. That's for sure. Moving on, we have Sam Howell. I freaking love this guy, Sam Howell. I was so excited to watch him play, and he completely lived up to my expectations that game. And albeit he did have a fumble, I think he played so fantastic. Terry McLaurin was a little injured. He was still connecting with his receivers. He had a rushing touchdown that was just gorgeous. He looked confident in that pocket. He had a fantastic pocket presence. I think Sam Howell, I wouldn't buy him right now at these insane prices, but I also would consider possibly selling him. I think he has room to grow as a player. He's living up to the expectations. So if you're buying at the current Sam Howell levels, I think you're okay. I think you're sitting very pretty. And if you bought him early like I did, then you're rich. We're all rich. We're all going to get rich in this hobby. Moving on, let's talk about rich men. Joe Burrow, highest paid quarterback in the NFL for a reason. I don't know, because he didn't play very well. He didn't play in the preseason, obviously, and I think he downplayed that knee injury a little. Maybe he shouldn't have come out yesterday. Another game where it was pouring. But can we talk about how good Grant Delpit is and how good that Browns secondary looked? The Browns might be a force to reckon with. If Deshaun Watson can play good enough and keep his team in a game, that defense will set them up. I think, is Deshaun a buy? Probably not. He's a rapist. I don't really like that kind of guy. If you like rapists and you like, the Browns, and then buy Deshaun Watson. But I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm probably going to tell you stay away from Deshaun Watson. Maybe buy Grant Delpit. Defender cards aren't really worth any money, but hey, Grant Delpit plays immaculate defense. Burrow, though. My God, Burrow, what a pitiful performance. He'll obviously bounce back. Don't sell, don't buy. Burrow's expensive already. Let's just hold Joe Burrow and let's move on. Moving on, what other games we have this week? Bryce Young came out. He played pretty... he didn't play good. He didn't play bad. He played exactly. If I'm a Panthers fan, I know you guys are coming off a loss, but if I'm a Panthers fan, I'm excited because Bryce Young had the first game of the NFL season that a franchise quarterback should have. It wasn't too insane. It wasn't too flashy, but it also wasn't pitiful. It wasn't bad. He looked confident. He's a lot faster than I knew. He had a scramble where he came across the line of scrimmage. By the time he was across the line of scrimmage, he had the first down, went right out of bounds. I'm like, God damn, this little guy's fast. It's funny. He does look like a little kid out there, but you know what? He's having fun. I like him better than Kyler. I think he's like a better version than Kyler, maybe. I don't know. Am I buying Bryce Young, selling Bryce Young? Well, his cards aren't really out yet. He's obviously going to be a chase this year, so I don't got to tell you much with Bryce Young. Speaking of rookie quarterbacks, we got CJ Stroud, who I think this guy stinks. I think he's a fraud. I think he's the worst in the class of the three hyped. I got probably Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson. We don't really know who's going to be better. We got to assume Bryce Young at number 1, Anthony Richardson at number 2, and at number 3, barely, we got CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud, pitiful performance. It wasn't necessarily bad, but if you watch the game, you kind of saw he was getting sacked left and right. And David Ajabu, incredible defensive lineman, was in his face a lot, but he couldn't really handle it. His first reception pass deflected. He caught it. I don't know. CJ Stroud didn't look like anything special. He looked like a standard run-of-the-mill Ohio State quarterback when they finally make it into the league, which means he stunk. Don't buy CJ Stroud. Don't chase the Texans in breaks. CJ Stroud stinks. He's a sell.